Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Steve Nason, Director of Research, overseeing our entertainment research practice here at Parks Associates. And I'm thrilled today to be having a chat with Mike Green, VP of Strategic Development and Alliances at Brightcove. How are we doing today, Mike?
I'm well, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate you taking the time today to discuss our industry. So, Mike, I think it would be great if you can give kind of a brief overview of Brightcove and your role there.
Sure. Now, as you said, I'm Strategic Development and Alliances here at Brightcove. I'm in our corporate development group. I've been here for about 7 years. Prior to that, running product marketing, as well as looking after our solutions for our media customer base. And for folks who want the refresh on Brightcove, since 2004, Brightcove has been helping our customers leverage the power of video across platforms. I would say that we're best known for providing a industry-leading platform called Video Cloud and a range of cloud-based modular services for the delivery and monetization of video across every device.
Awesome. Appreciate that overview. So let's jump right into our conversation. So kind of from your perspective, let's go over the last 2 or 3 years, because obviously we've had this world-changing event with COVID-19. What kind of trends have you been seeing from the industry, from your work at Brightcove, from your clients, kind of the trends that have been experienced in the video space?
Sure. Well, I think you start with consumer behavior driving a lot of the priorities for our customer base and for media companies and for content owners. And even sort of prior to COVID, certainly the overall macro trend, I would say, is just the growth in available viewing hours. And primarily that was driven first by smartphones and better connectivity for turning viewing hours to being not just something that happens at home in the evenings, but to being, during the day, live streaming sports consumed out of home on the weekend. But also, again, within the home, device proliferation has meant that every member of the family can be consuming their own personalized stream, personalized in a way that wasn't really even offered by, broadcast or cable in a legacy model. So I think for media and content owners, they think about video in terms of what is the return I can get on my investment in these rights or in this content that I've produced. And the growth overall in hours available of viewing has been the opportunity that they've been looking to take advantage of. And so they look for Brightcove to help figure out how to deliver in all those environments and how to do so with the maximum monetization possible across different business models, ad-supported, subscription, and otherwise.
And kind of branching off on that, so how have you kind of seen the impact of COVID-19? Obviously, you mentioned on the consumer side, consumption going way up, and there's been more fragmentation, more competitiveness on the industry side. So how kind of has your organization and Brightcove kind of adjusted to this new normal?
Sure. Well, our industry, in media has different types of content owners. And what we found was that, in the beginning of the pandemic, obviously a lot of our sports-based customers were retreating from being able to offer live events and, the usual array of programming, but then found a way to kind of keep fans engaged with things like archival games and other experiences. Whereas our long-form content, companies like AMC, who runs on Brightcove, found spikes in episodic viewing. And so it was always a balance during the pandemic about where the viewing was coming from. Of course, we have enterprises, if you will, who may look like media companies in the way that they take their brands and generate. For South by Southwest, for example, has created a OTT channel basically out of what was just a short conference. So there was a lot going on during the pandemic in terms of finding ways to keep audiences engaged and drive consumption behavior and get that ROI out of the content investment that was already there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You kind of touched on this in your intro, but kind of what are some of the use cases or business problems, and especially in this highly competitive market, that your clients are coming to you to help solve?
Sure. I mean, so the sort of differentiator, and it's one of the reasons why I think clients trust Brightcove, especially now with video being so mission critical, with a lot of the in-person things moving online, like live events and so forth. Reliability, scalability, and security. Those are things that are applicable pretty much in every business segment that we're talking to customers in. People who need to be able to take a live sporting event and have it go from a couple 100,000 concurrent viewers to maybe a couple million. Towards the end of an event, where obviously on social media, you may be aware that it's highly compelling, last few minutes of a basketball game and so forth. It has to be secure. People want to ensure that none of their streams or their movie catalogs and so forth are being stolen or downloaded illegally and so forth. The Oscars obviously trust us from a security perspective. And reliability just has to do with uptime across the system. And all that kind of ties together with being able to ensure that whatever distribution points a content owner is reaching end consumers, the monetization is there, is complete, whether it again is an SVOD model or a ad-supported model. So those are the kind of problems. They sound fairly general, but they're actually a little bit more complicated and nuanced depending on the type of user experience or device array that a content owner is targeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would imagine those are critical to a lot of different organizations throughout the ecosystem. Really great perspectives, Mike. I just want to kind of wrap up, kind of spinning it forward. Where do you kind of see the video space, connected entertainment space, kind of evolving from here? Now that we kind of settled, hopefully, into this new normal, post-COVID, kind of bring ourselves out of it. Where does the industry kind of go from here?
I think so much has been focused on delivery, being able to just deliver the content to all the different endpoints. And sometimes I hear people say things like, oh, that was just the first half, was ensuring that we could get video to consumers wherever they are under any given network conditions or devices and so forth. That sounds easy, but I think there's actually still a long way to go. If you look on, obviously, Twitter or somewhere, the vitriol towards any of these services when they're having outages towards their premieres and that sort of thing, like delivery is way better than it used to be, but it's not solved. It doesn't mean that monetization is intact everywhere and so forth, or that the user experience you're able to provide on one device is successfully delivered on all the other devices in a way that becomes kind of comfortable to the end consumer. So delivery is part one. I would say, perfecting the experience in terms of using data to better inform what presentation you give a user or how you monetize a given stream, finding the right balance in terms of ad loads for somebody who's a subscriber versus who isn't. There are all sorts of things we should be doing to evolve past what we've done so far, I think, to make for a better end user experience and more successful use of our video rights and opportunity to stream.
Yeah, really well said. And that's a great way to wrap up our conversation. Unfortunately, out of time today. Really appreciate your time and perspectives today.
Thank you for having me, Steve. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.